it really goes back to that it didn't start like this. I've had this conversation a lot recently where you start working on something, you start at the bottom and you work your way up, but as you work your way up, you don't really notice the journey. You don't notice the things that are changing. And when you're going through this journey, you're like, fuck, I just wish I was here already. So it's crazy once we're here at the end of the year and we're able to look back on just what this room looked like before, the types of interviews we were doing when we first started at the beginning of the year. And for this journey to have taken place, on a consistent weekly on a consistent weekly basis, it just feels good to be at the end of the year. You know what I'm saying?
This is Sad Boy Radio.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sad Boy Radio. I'm your host, Matt, and today we got a special guest. It's his 5th time on the show. Owner of BDS. He's not a rapper. But yeah, man, we had to get him on with the new camera setup, with the lights. We had to make him look good for the one time. Go ahead and introduce yourself, bro.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Big Vic, a.k.a. The Big Boss, a.k.a. Vicky the Producer, a.k.a. Vicky V, a.k.a. Cameraman, a.k.a. a lot, but you could just call me Big Vic.
Literally, somebody has called him the cameraman. Ayo, cameraman. I got pissed off. I was like, bro, why are you calling my cameraman? He's got a name. Like, what the fuck is that?
Like, only I can call him cameraman.
For real. Shit, bro. Honestly, like, this year has been an event for you. Good, bad, a lot of good. He got fired on his day off. Talk about the biggest change in your life for this past year and, what's really stood out for you.
I couldn't say that there's, like, one biggest change. Like, there was just a lot of things that happened at once, like not at once, but like just kind of like after the other. And I guess I would say I reacted. I mean, at the beginning of the year, I pretty much was just in this groove of like just trying to get the business like up and running, kind of get everyone going, and kind of getting myself personally like together, so that way I can achieve the goals that I want to personally, not just in business. So I think really just everything kind of like helped shape me in like this year. And I've definitely, if I had to cap it off, I'd say I'm definitely like a completely different person, like so much for the better, like now than I was at the beginning of this year.
And we've sat down, we've had conversations where it was literally, you could see the difference in how you work and how your relationships with people in general. I feel like, as the year has gone on, we've had a better relationship. And I'm sure you could say the same with a lot of the people you've been working with, like Trevor, right? Trevor was somebody who was in and out before, but now he's really a fundamental part of the business and what we're doing over here at Blue Door. Touch on that a little bit before we move forward. We always got to touch on business first. So how's Blue Door looking? What's going on with you guys? You just opened up the news website.
As you guys are able to tell, like through Sad Boy,
a lot has changed.
Just kind of our studio in general, like production quality, and really just ideas, man, and really just trying to get like the business, like not trying to, but making the business like official. Really at the beginning of the year, I kind of brought in Sir Trevor James. I brought him in as an executive with the company. We kind of just had like the same vision, just trying to like really create this network, this hub that can really like do it all and just really just be about the music and the community that comes through here. So he, came on board and we just kind of hit the ground running with getting new equipment, just kind of bringing new people on board as well, new engineers, a new photographer, a visual person as well. And we're only looking to continue growing, as we get more clients in and as we grow our business and as we become a more household name and community brand in Chicago. It's really just looking up. I'm real excited about the website. I look at it every day. I kind of think about like what can make it better. Shout out to Bellafiore Studios. She was the one who like created the infrastructure for the website and just kind of like did all our design and some logo work, which you can also see on our social medias. But yeah, that's really that's really like what kind of drove me this year, was to get the business set in a certain spot, so then that way I could focus on myself, which is definitely where I'm at now. The business is running smoothly. We're getting new clients. We're working with Ash. She's become a we pretty much become like her in-house studio for like everything. So that's really what we're focused on, is just getting artists who are really dedicated to this and coming in and using all of our resources, because we have so much to offer.
It really goes back to that it didn't start like this. You know, I've had this conversation a lot recently where you start working on something, you start at the bottom and you work your way up, but as you work your way up, you don't really notice the journey. You don't notice the things that are changing. And when you're going through this journey, you're like, fuck, I just wish I was here already. So it's crazy once we're here at the end of the year and we're able to look back on just what this room looked like before, the types of interviews we were doing when we first started at the beginning of the year. And for this journey to have taken place, you know, on a consistent weekly on a consistent weekly basis, it just feels good to be at the end of the year. You know what I'm saying?
Not that I didn't before, but now that I come in here, just kind of like, whether it's during Sad Boy or whether it's like just on any other day, when I come in here, I'm like, it's fucking nice in here. Like, and I love that feeling. Whereas before, like, it wasn't so much. It was like, yeah, we got our own studio. Yeah, we got a place. But I was like, fuck, like this kind of looks like shit. This isn't up to par. And now it's like, oh man. A big thing for me this year that I adopted was, I stopped wishing time away. And what I mean by that is, I'd be at my old job that you that you mentioned that I got let go from.
He got fired on his day off.
Nah, I did my 2 weeks and they let me go. They're like, oh, we don't need you no more. I was like, all right, say less. What I was trying to say is, like, I stopped wishing time away. So I would be at work every day like, man, I can't wait for 5 o'clock. I can't wait till it's 5 o'clock. I can't wait till the end of the day. I can go home, smoke, go to the studio, whatever. And I thought to myself, I'm like, man, like, at the same time though, I'm like, every week, I'm like, man, the weekend went by so fast. Man, before I know it, I'm going to be this old. Before I know it, I'm this old. All my coworkers like, oh, you're so young. Like, you know, don't think about it like that. I'm like, but it's true. I'm like, every fucking weekend, it's like, I'm like, damn, it's another week, but I'm over here wishing time away. So I like stopped doing that. Like, I stopped saying like, I can't wait till it's this. So I can't wait till this is over. Cause it's like, realistically, like, when you do that, man, life does become short. And like, when you really can sit there and like just take everything in and observe everything, like yourself, and like just be more self-aware and observe the people around you, like time really does move slowly and you really can enjoy things on a different level. And I think that's helped me become a better person, is like I've really tried to maximize my time, and at the same time I've stopped just wishing life away, because it's like every moment is precious, you know. Like, personally, you know, knock on wood, like I haven't lost anyone like close to me this year, you know, like death or anything like that. But like, you know, as we've talked before, there's been years where I lost a lot of people in my life, and it's like it can all be different in a matter of a day. So it's like, don't wish the fucking day away. Like, take every second in that you can, you know. So that's one thing that I've definitely adopted this year that has helped me like move forward and just kind of like enjoy life and become a better person.
I always fucking say this shit. We forget. And that's because these are the little moments that people don't think about every single day. We're always on to the next thing. I see what you mean in that sense, right? That we're always wishing that time's just gonna pass us by and we'll be in the, just like I said, we'll be
the next step, the next section you want to go to.
We'll be at the final result. What changed for you then? What made you change your mindset?
I think it was really just that. I think I just kind of had an aha moment one day at work. I was just like, I know I hate my job, but like I'm wishing the day away. And every Monday, and my coworker's like, how's your weekend? Every weekend I'm like, too short. And really, like, I just got bored. I got bored of saying the same shit. And I got bored of my coworker saying the same shit to me. No disrespect to them at all, but it's like, that's just how life is. Like, no, I won't say that. That's how our society is like training us to be, like just fast paced, one thing to the next, one thing to the next, one thing to the next. That's why everything's so accessible on the phone, you know, because like, all right here, you don't got to go different places. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers used to have to walk a block to fucking make a phone call, you know. Like,
they used to have to read on the planes and shit.
It really was just that. It was realizing like, I want my life to be different. Like, I want to be in a better place. It's up to me to fucking change that shit. Well, here's one little thing that I don't really pay mind to, that I'm like wishing away the day. So I think it really was just that. It really was just like finally just being tired of it. And ultimately that's what led me to leaving that job, giving my 2 weeks, and then ultimately being let go the same day. But, you know, I'm at a better I'm at a better job now, you know, same field, making more money. And I'm happy where I'm at because at the end of the day, like I have my plans. I know what I got set for, and as long as I like stick up for myself and like do what I want to do, what I know is gonna benefit me, like I can't go wrong. You know.
I find myself thinking a lot of the times about all the things that I wish I completed with the day. I'm pretty sure you probably find yourself in the same place where you think, why the fuck didn't I get that done? I had all the time in the world. I just sat around and did nothing. I keep doing that a lot recently where I'll be at work and I'll think about how I got to upload these videos to Spotify. I got to upload the audio files to Spotify and Apple Music, which I haven't done since August, like a fucking idiot. And those are the little basic things that I could get done. All I got to do is go on my computer, which I paid $3,000 for, click upload, and it'll do it by itself. But I'm just a fucking lazy piece of shit and don't want to do it.
Not to be an enabler, but like, sometimes it's okay to like not get shit completed. Like sometimes you really do need a rest, and that's been happening to me a lot. Like recently, I've just been like, staying up late, getting shit done, or at least trying to. But then like I've just been putting too much on my plate, and sometimes you just gotta give yourself a rest. So like it ain't that big of a deal, but
Hey, it's a little like too late. It's 4 months too late. Hey, how many have we done? We probably did. That's 4 times 4. That's 16. That's a whole 16 episodes that are missing. I wanted to get Vic on here specifically because it's the end of the year. He did the end of the year one last year. That was number 33. This will be number 85. And it's just crazy to see how far we've come. We were interviewing people kind of on a week-to-week basis off of names we heard last year. It was literally, oh, you should interview this person. Oh, you should reach out to this person. Oh, this person just posted a song. Let me reach out to them on Instagram type shit. Like, shout out Guyo, but literally Vic was like, I went to school with this guy. You should hit him up. And that was the first interview we did that wasn't somebody in the circle.
damn, I can't believe it's been almost 2 years.
And to see how far it's come, like now we're interviewing people who are staying out in Puerto Rico, Marce and J Bro. We're interviewing DJs who are playing in the clubs every single weekend, King Inez, Drip, Santos, people who curate their own events, Cooley, C-Stays. Man, I'm trying to think of everybody, right?
I'm definitely proud of the fact that like I've heard people like come in here and like say to you like, yeah, man, like what you guys are doing is real legit. Like, there's nothing like it. Like I actually like your interview. People saying like, I actually like your interviews. I actually like your questions. I like the type of shit you ask. Like, whereas before it's like, just kind of like what I would, what we would hear like throughout like just networking. Like that's not what like some people would think necessarily right away. That's not what like some interviewees would think. And now to like hear that in person and like really like see that, like it's like damn, all the hard work that you've been putting in, that I've been putting in, every week, like really just goes to pay off, and especially like the first thing that shows that is like the production quality, so that's definitely like over the past 2 years, like to be able to see that progression is definitely is like a proud moment,
Especially, when we got legends coming in here and saying like, hey bro, I can't believe I'm sitting inside the Sad Boy Radio studio. They always think it's my studio, but it's Vic's studio.
I remember when fucking D-Lo came in and I'm like, bro, I remember being in like the suburbs and fucking like I was showing my friend's house and one of her friends was like, hey, I'm trying to do this dance real quick, and it was the fucking D-Lo shuffle. And I thought back to that, I'm like, bro, that was like almost 10 years ago. Like, that's fucking crazy.
Starting the year, we wouldn't have thought we'd find ourselves in those positions to be interviewing the fucking D-Los of the world. And it's only up from here type shit.
For real.
You guys don't even know, like, the shit that we have to go through, right? Because it's not every single day where we see eye to eye on shit. Like, I'll come to you and I'll tell you, hey, this shit was fucked up. And you'll either tell me either A, that was my fault, or B, like, I can't do shit about that. Like, there's literally nothing I could have done about that. But there's also times where, like, I got to hit Vic up last minute and I got to tell him, like, yo, like, can you check this audio out? So to have somebody that's, like, down to always help out and just be proactive about fixing those things, it's like, that's what you need in a partner and in a teammate. Like, without that, you're not going to fucking succeed. So, man, just a big shout out to Vic because, I give him a shout out every week, but you guys don't know the half of it. And like I said, it's not always going to be where we're buddy, where we're best friends, but it definitely isn't like we're going to throw hands any minute.
I just personally feel like if you can't be real with people you do business with, like you shouldn't be doing business with them, you know?
Facts. I like to be able to reflect on the relationships that we built throughout the years, throughout, the one specific year, because there's been so many relationships that we created in this specific room, whether the interaction was small, big, significant, or not. These are relationships that are impacting you because those interactions are always going to live with you. Whether that conversation happened once or twice, it's something that's going to stick in your mind. You know how many times I referenced ozones and I'm like, damn, like that shit for real stuck with me. Somebody I even recently talked to, AK, just being able to connect with him. That's somebody that I haven't talked to in, 5-6 months, but being able to reach out back to him and say, hey, let's go grab food. Let's, talk about what's going on in life. That was a conversation that I also needed at that time. And, for somebody you don't even know to come here, take the time and have that conversation with you, that's some special shit, especially because they don't need to fucking come here and spend their time doing so. It's something I've learned though. Something I have learned is that this is just as much a service for people that we do invite on here at this point, because look at the fucking production quality on this shit. Look at the questions we're asking. I guarantee you, every single person that I've had on within the past year has received a personal message from somebody about the interview and said like, hey, that shit was dope. Hey, I really liked your answers and I definitely gained some more insight to you. I hope you're doing well. Because that's the type of emotions this shit's evoking from people. It's showing a more human, a more real side to these artists. It's not just showing them as the person they're portraying themselves to be. It's showing them as who they really are. So that's definitely a lesson I've learned about us and learned about the product, because I used to genuinely think like anybody who came on here, they were doing us a favor. Like they were sliding and spending time going over these questions and not asking for anything in return. But it's nice to know that we've reached the point where it's like we're not begging, and it doesn't feel like that no more. You know what I'm saying? The lyric I took was from Drake. I know way too many people here right now that I didn't know last year, and I definitely know way too many people that I didn't know last year.
Make sure you fucking like stick to yourself. Give yourself what you need, before you start letting all these new people in your life and like giving them your energy.
Which leads me to ask you, what's the most important relationship you've created, throughout this year?
Definitely with my girl, meeting my girl, and then like ultimately us coming together, becoming a couple, and just ultimately like starting to build this life together. Like I'm at the stage in my life where I was dating someone new. I was dating someone different, like at the beginning of this year. And then when we broke up, I was like,
he was on his sad boy shit.
No, I wasn't on my sad boy shit. I was like immediate, because honestly, like mentally, I was out of that relationship like for a minute. And I just didn't have, straight up, I didn't have the balls to like leave, because I was one of those people who like
comfortable.
Yeah, I was emotionally dependent, so like I was just so afraid to leave. And then like when she broke up with me, I like chose to not fight back. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, this is something that I need, and ultimately like I was like, fuck it, I need to go on a hoe phase, because like it had been not something that I had like done, and
that's what we call sad boy shit.
I guess I guess because you're like improperly like channeling your fucking emotions.
Sad boys are just fuck boys, but they put on a front.
Honestly, it was good for me, because right away I just kind of hit the ground running with what I had to do. I like took a day to myself to be like sad about it, and I realized I wasn't as sad as I thought I would have been about had been broken up with, and I just moved forward, like that was it. And I was like, all right, I got to do me. I'm gonna get on my whole phase. I'm gonna fucking like work on the business some more, like really like get in the studio, because I got all this time.
And that's what leads to the real premise of this episode, right? There's no real premise of this episode, but it gets worse before it gets better, without rain, there's no sun. That's kind of how I look at it, because in 2021, that year was supposed to be the worst year of my life. And I tell people that was, if if all the bad shit that happened in that year didn't happen to me, that would have been the best year of my life. But it had to have gotten that bad for me to have reached the point where everything else seemed so much better. When I had accomplished all that we talked about in the previous end of the year episode, where I graduated, we started the podcast, all that shit. So now, when you went through that, seeing it this year for you, I was like, man, it really does get worse before it gets better. I'm gonna list all the bad shit that happened to you real quick.
To me?
Yeah, not to be an asshole,
Damn.
but like
What's
got fired, got dumped, kicked out, moved to 63rd.
We not from 63rd.
But in the end, it worked out because now you're in a healthier mental space. Now you're in a relationship where you feel loved and valued. Now your business is up and running and almost self-sufficient, right? You'll be self-sufficient once you're making all the money back and then some profit. You're not going to be profitable for a minute because all that money is going to end up going back to the studio and reinvested anyways. But for all that bad shit to have happened in the beginning of the year and then take that full 180, it always gets worse before it gets better. And that's just kind of the message I wanted to, spread to the people, is that shit can seem dark, shit can seem bad, but it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of, your life. How do you feel like this relationship has helped you become a better person?
Like I said about my past relationship, like I was mentally already out of it. So I was already thinking to myself, like, okay, like this is what I got to do to better myself. Ultimately, like with my girl now, is like in realizing those things beforehand and kind of just getting there, she kind of just like fell in. I didn't have to change myself in any way. Like she's doing her own thing, I'm doing my own thing in terms of like being an entrepreneur and like being a business person and just personal accomplishments and personal growth. So it's just kind of like, it was almost like it was more so like it was that we were friends first, and it kind of just turned into like, we ended up like being attracted to each other, and then like ended up ultimately like loving each other, so that's like, I wouldn't say the relationship itself helped me grow as a better person, but like I became that better person, and then her coming into my life, it kind of just like made everything that much more enjoyable. Because when you have a partner, it's cliche as fuck, bro, but like when like that's all I have, like that's really all I have to say, and like I definitely enjoy, like you said, like having the proper love given to me for sure, because I can feel a difference like a million times over. Not even my ex, but like the girls that I would talk to before. So with this relationship now, I mean, you just heard me say, like, I call her my fiance, even though I haven't asked her pops, so that's just the shit I'm on, like I'm setting up my life, like I'm really doing it. So like this, like the shit that I'm doing now, like it's here to stay. Like nothing is no fly by night shit. Like I value my time. I value the people that I get to spend my time with, because like we kind of talked a little bit off camera, like sometimes I feel like some of the connections, and it's not in a bad way to them, but it's like, when you're a giver and like people like want stuff from you per se, like, but there's a lot of people, it sucks at your energy. And then ultimately, that's why I said to you, make sure you give to yourself first before you give to other people, because if everyone takes everything from you, you got nothing to give to yourself, and then what are you? And that, like, I went through therapy like a few years ago, and I learned that, and like I lost it along the way, and I relearned that again, and like I'm just in like a so much better place. Like you said, like you could tell the difference, and just kind of how I still be giving y'all shit, I still be talking like a smart ass to y'all, but that's just me.
What do you feel like is the biggest change you've seen in yourself from last year to this year?
Definitely my willpower. Just realize, I would always tell people that I live my life like I'm gonna die tomorrow. Because I didn't want to be the type of person that like I've spent my fucking day, like, no offense to anyone, especially my boy Tyler, we're celebrating his graduation, but like I don't want to be that person that like studies their life away, like I just wanted to do shit that meant something to me, didn't mean shit to people, like other people, like do what I want to do and do what makes me happy, so like I didn't want to have to think about like, oh, I gotta stay in a night because I gotta make sure I have money next week. It's like, nah, fuck that, my boys want to go out, like let's go out. Like that was the shit that I was on, because I could die tomorrow. I didn't want to be at work my last day on earth, you know what I'm saying? Like, but now it's like I have to realize that there's a 99% chance that I wake up tomorrow, God willing. That's really allowed me to like be able to have this success happen and just like continue forward and become a better person, because I'm not drinking every night or every weekend anymore, blowing all my money like on a bunch of weed and shit like that. Like, I'm really doing meaningful stuff, setting myself for the future to be able to buy property, like all this shit that I want to do. And it's a great feeling, you know. It's like you get older, you grow up, and that's pretty much what I did. Was I grew up.
It's weird when that mindset switches, right? It's literally like a switch. You know, one day you just realize, like, damn, what am I doing
So you
next?
just get tired. Just like I was saying, tired of the same shit.
It feels like, when is shit gonna change? When is shit gonna finally look up? And I think about the clip I just released with Solo Cello, where he's talking about, I can't wait for Superman. And, you know, at the end of the day, that's true. You can't wait for the perfect moment to happen. You got to go make it happen for yourself. You just can't wait for time and for these things to come to you. A lot of the times, at least lately, I find myself in this position where you got to just kind of let things go as well. You know, as time goes on, all this bad shit happens to you, and you got to just let it be. Sometimes you try to force situations, and that's when all this bad shit happens. I was listening to Bad Bunny. I was actually scrolling through my 2022 playlist that Apple Music made for me, and I saw Ignorantes on there. In the song, he says, y no sé por qué nos dejamos. Si tú me amas, si yo te amo, normal, yo sé que a veces peleamos. Mainly, he's talking about a relationship, obviously. He's saying that, I don't know, you know, if I love you and you love me, I know it's normal to fight, but I don't know why we left this alone. You know, these situations that we put ourselves in, where sometimes we become so tired of fighting that it's like, okay, I just got to let it be. And I got to let myself move on. That way I can start this healing process of whatever it may be holding you back. And I took this one because obviously you found yourself in that position. I found myself in that position, and it goes way beyond relationships. It goes into any life experience. Sometimes you're stuck in a job for way too long, and it's just eating at you. It's eating at you. And it's not until you're almost at that breaking point, and once you've reached that breaking point where you can't take no more, that's when you become complacent. That's when you become stuck in a cycle, so to say. So I think about that song, and I guess that's what I don't want to happen for 2023. I don't want to be stuck in a cycle because I think that that's what's best for me. I don't want to be stuck in a situation because I've fought so hard for so long, and now I'm saying, well, I might as well. I put the time and effort into it. Let me just stay here. For you, what's the most important lesson you've learned so far this year?
Be there for yourself, like 1,000,000%. Be there for yourself, because no one else is gonna be there for you.
Not Superman.
Yeah, not Superman. and you shouldn't expect them to, because in reality, like, you don't owe anyone shit, and no one owes you shit. Like, yes, you're born to your family, but like at the end of the day, like you go through every second of your life. Not anyone else. They're there for parts of it. It could be a lot of your life, but they're not there for every single fucking moment. They're not there for the fucking moments you're down bad fucking drinking or whatever, or like in your thoughts or whatever by yourself. Like, that's you and only you.
It's when you're down bad that, you know, you got to learn that lesson that you're the only one that's really there for yourself, and you got to make shit happen, you know, just like we've been saying throughout this episode. And you learn that in those moments where shit's at its all-time worst. And you slowly build yourself back up. You slowly get to the point where you feel like everything's okay again.
Someone has to like really go through something in order for them to change. Like, day-to-day interactions, day-to-day happenings aren't gonna like change someone. It's when something really like drastic happens, because we're creatures of habit. So it's gonna take something drastic to happen, whether it's emotional, physical, financial, whatever, for your mindset to really change. And I think that's true in all things. I mean, to truly change, because I feel like some people change, and like, even myself, like, not phases, but like, we say we're gonna change, we say we're gonna do something, we don't. Like I told you earlier, now I'm like actually able to do the things that I said I was gonna do, meant like in my head, because I like was always just blocking myself by like just kind of procrastinating and like succumbing to my emotions and my feelings all the time.
And we already list all the bad shit that happened to you this year.
What about you? What happened to you this year?
Man, I don't even know anymore. I
Let me
feel
pull
like,
out my notebook. Hold on. No.
sorry I had all the bad shit that happened to you. I just knew about it, man. Sure, something bad didn't happen this year, but I think back to all the bad shit that did happen and being grateful for the position that you end up in now. That's what matters at the end of the day. But once again, like I said, we took it to this level. We took it to it gets worse before it gets better, because I saw the similarities and I was like, man, fuck it. For the end of the year, we'll talk about how, yeah, at the beginning of the year, I probably was being a sad boy still. I was able to connect with so many different topics. And when you run down the list, you look at all the topics I've covered this year, from New Year, New Problems. Literally, that was the fucking first episode of the year. New Year, New Problems. Like, my pessimistic ass, instead of being like New Year, New Me, or New Year, New Shit, like, nah, New Year, New Problems. What the fuck? Um, and then you go into, that I'm entitled to be happy. Yeah, that was meant to be positive. You're entitled to be happy. Everybody's entitled to be happy. But we were really talking about the feeling of, yeah, I'm entitled to be happy, but I'm not. I'm at this point in my life where I should be happy, but nothing around me, nothing about the situations is helping me do that. Who else did we have? The I'm not ready for love, my fucking sad boy ass, bro. I'm not ready for love, and that's because I found myself in a position where I want to have that. I want to be able to have that connection, but at the same time, when that Giveon album came out, it was Scarred, uh, where he's saying that, you're under me, but I'm not over all the things I told you. Oh girl, I'm broken. And yeah, shit, bro, everybody ends up broken. I was broken at one point. And I just run down the list, right? You could run down all the episodes, you could run down the whole list, and you could see the difference in then to now. Now it's more so an interview style, but before I was able to just keep on going, like, hey, this sad boy experience, I got you. You need one right now? I got you. You're sad, I got you. I'm gonna make you feel like you're not the only person in the world that feels that shit. So running down that list, I just look at all those topics we've covered and to see how far we've come. It's year 2. When we did year 1, I was like, man, that was a big year. What do we do to top that shit? I remember talking about that shit. Now we're through year 2, and we've interviewed the biggest creatives in Chicago that are available to our network at the moment.
I remember I made a Facebook post one day and I was like, why does everyone romanticize struggle? Well, like, I think there's a difference between romanticizing struggle and like just struggling because that's life. Like, I guess ultimately what I'm trying to say is, like, life is going to have struggle, and struggle builds character, and through struggle you'll find success. But there's people who like take the struggle and like use it as a crutch and use it as like an excuse, cuz like ultimately, like, people's struggles are different. I'm not one to like say you tell me like, oh man, this just fucking happened to me outside. I'm not one to be like, oh well, yeah, like last week this fucking happened to me, and woo, like all this dramatic shit happened. Like, no, bro, what you still went through was like traumatic in some way to you. You know what I'm saying? So like, basically what I'm just trying to say is like, ultimately through the struggle you'll find success, you'll find happiness. Life has its up and downs. Like, it's all cliche, but like it's cliche for a reason, because that shit is true. And like, you shouldn't romanticize struggle. You should want to get out of struggle, but do realize that like there are going to be times that you struggle, whether it's financially, romantically, emotionally, physically. Like, life is long. It's not long for a lot of people, but like, or for some people, but life is long. You really expect a whole entire thing to be perfect? Fuck no, bro. Hell no, your life ain't gonna be perfect forever. Because if it is, then like, it ain't really worth living.
That's almost one of the true meanings of living. Being able to feel those emotions. Without being able to feel those emotions, just like you said, what's the point of living? That's why I like the title of Sad Boy Radio. A lot of people will be like, man, change that shit. Oh, it's not, it doesn't hit or it doesn't feel right. But that shit's right to me because I feel like sadness is one of the most real emotions. Everybody feels sad at one point in their life. And it shows you who's going to get through the struggle. It shows you who needs more help with the struggle. And it also shows you who you are at your lowest point in life. Whether you're going to be a shitty person and hurt other people, whether you're going to be a good person and try to figure your shit out. And even if you do hurt people along the way, that doesn't make you a shitty person. It just means that you need that extra help. And for those people that see the brightness in you, the people that see that you need that help, shout out to them. Hey, all props to them because, you know, I think back to when I was in that place and I hurt a lot of people. And it wasn't that I meant to hurt those people. It was that I just wasn't in a space where I could spread the love that others needed. So as far as Sad Boy Radio, that shit, that name's gonna stay. I don't give a fuck when I'm 30. It's gonna be Sad Boys for real forever because
He's gonna get that shit tatted on his forehead.
I will not get this shit tatted on my forehead. But like I said, at the end of the day, that's one of the most real emotions you could feel. And without feeling emotions, it's like you're not even a human. You're a robot. And who the fuck wants to be like that? But with that being said, you know, I appreciate you coming on. And, you know, for the people, I could have literally got, you know, whoever I wanted, to be honest. I could have planned this out a month in advance and been like, yo, I interviewed you, plug me with so-and-so. I'm sure, like, it would have been a little difficult, but we could have made something big happen. But sometimes we got to go back to the basics. We got to go back to where did we start day one? We started on a fucking couch with the fucking shitty lights, one camera, no fucking colors. Like, that shit was dry.
No, we had color. Yeah, the very first episode didn't.
We had no fucking color. Now we got 2 cameras, Vic's on the fucking big screen with some nice lights with a nice little LED behind them. You see the growth, and I wanted to highlight that. I wanted to highlight, yeah, it's the end of our second year, but look at where we started at that first year. Look at where we ended at that first year. We were still with one camera. Yeah, we had some lights, but I didn't do no color grading. I didn't have another camera where we could go back and forth. And shit, me and Vic have some of the worst chemistry ever. But shit, yeah, you see the product we make, and this shit's gonna only go up from here. Shout out me and Vic, Sad Boys for real. Blue Door Studios, Sad Boy Radio. We're coming even harder in 2023. Pause. Make sure you go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. And shit, once again, it gets worse before it gets better. Sad Boys for real. Peace out.
This is Sad Boy Radio.